Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty.
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you very much.
No, I like gassing ass fucking breath. I'm gonna blow your fucking head off. I believe me too. I told you don't fucking play with me, shit. March 22nd, man, you was my girl. You was my girl. I don't give a fuck. You playing with me, Camille? Because I would blow your fucking head off. You was my girl. What the fuck wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You was my girl. You was my girl in March 2020. Now you sick motherfucker time. 2 years going up to man. What's wrong with you? Stand up. You won't deserve that shit, but stand up. Stand up. No, I'm sorry. Stop. Stop. Breathe. Breathe. Okay. Breathe. Did I say breathe? Motherfucking right, okay. Stop playing with me. Man, she kind of breathe on me. It's all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, welcome to another episode of Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. I'm your host, Manager Marty. That you just heard was the voice of Floyd Schofield Sr. I wanted to spin the block on that topic because of several reasons. Come on in, grab a plate. I have some food that I want to serve you, some food for thought. That was Kid Austin. That was Kid Austin's father. Kid Austin is Floyd Schofield Jr. That was his father, his manager slash trainer. That was the audio recording of a home video. Most of you have already seen the video already, where he was involved in a DV. Environment. The first letter of the word starts with D, and the first letter of the word starts with V. And of course, you know how to figure the rest out. That was him. Obviously, he was physically assaulting. I guess that was his girlfriend at the time. Um, his queen, as he called her. That was him also verbally threatening to BLOW her effing head off. And I just had a question on that, actually, because the last time we all checked, and I'm bringing this up for a reason. The last time we checked, Floyd Schofield Sr., he actually sent me an email back in November, I believe, of 2024, and he actually threatened me. No. He didn't threaten to do anything physical to me like he threatened to do physical harm to his girlfriend. He actually threatened to sue me. And most of you are here. Y'all remember that, right? Right. He actually said that after his son fights Shakur Stevenson, that I should expect a lawsuit from him. That's what he told me in an email. Most of you remember when I posted all of this. And All I can do is go by what the man, what the man said. I mean, that's all I can do. I mean, some of y'all might have forgot. Might be too small for you to see it on your screen. Just wanted to point this back. I had a question about something though. Some of y'all was here. Y'all remember this. On Saturday, November the 30th, 2024, to be exact. If you look at the bottom of your screen, it's right there. You probably have to blow it up on your screen if you can. If you're not watching on TV, if you're watching this live or the replay of this live on an electronic device such as an iPad or a cell phone. But on Saturday, November 30th, 2024, Floyd Schofield Sr., he emailed me and he said these words. He said, "A lawsuit will be filed against you right after the fight. I am just giving you a heads up." That's what he said. And as you can see, I definitely responded. If you look at the top of your screen, I definitely responded to that email. And if you can't see it, I'm going to read it to you. This is what my response to that was. "Thanks for the heads up, Floyd. Until then, let's have a healthy discussion like men. No drama, just real talk. I invite you to join me tomorrow at 1 o'clock p.m. I'll send you the link when you confirm. It's a similar FaceTime format like the interviews that you do on other platforms." I'm trying to find the other email where he responded and he declined my offer. You see, I'm bringing this up for a reason. Double salute to all of the members of the channel, supervisors of the Roll the Tape film crew who's watching live and living color. Salute to everybody in the chat. I welcome each and every last one of you. If you are a hater, a spy, or a detractor of mine, I want to welcome you as well. But see, the thing about it is, Floyd Schofield Sr. and his son, Floyd Schofield Jr., aka Kid Austin, they went to Saudi Arabia and was diagnosed with cold feet. I don't know what medication a doctor can prescribe to relieve cold feet, but they wanted no parts of Shakur Stevenson or the snack program when they went out to Saudi Arabia, so they came back to America broke with no money in their pocket because honestly they didn't earn a payday. The bottom line is this. Kid Austin didn't even fight Shakur Stevenson in February of 2025 of this year. So I'm just trying to figure out, am I still getting sued? Would a lawsuit still be filed against me since the fight since the fight never took place? Because he said after the fight, he's giving me the heads up. Why am I talking about this right now? Well, there's several reasons why I'm talking about this. First and foremost, I didn't forget what Floyd Schofield Sr. said. He declined to come up here. He wanted no parts. He didn't want to sit in the hot seat. He didn't want to be held accountable for the questions I was going to ask him about that home video. And I keep trying to figure out, how come Floyd Schofield Sr. can jump on platform after platform, all up in the videos, dancing, dominating the interview. Really, the interview is for his son, the boxer. And nobody ever asked him a question about that. And if they did, I don't know, because I don't, most of these content creators in the YouTube boxing community, I don't watch them anyway. But the bottom line is, how come he can still have a voice? No one's questioning him about the physical violence. He choking a woman, slamming her on the ground. All this is on tape. Videotape, by the way, that leaked from his home. I wasn't the first person to publish this video, and definitely wasn't the last. Okay? All I'm trying to all I'm trying to figure out is, how is this man who physically assaulted a woman, verbally abused a woman, said he was going to BLOW her effing head off, choked her, slammed her on the ground. She said she couldn't breathe. He helped her up off the ground and slammed her again on the ground in the house. I'm just trying to figure out, how is this man still having a voice without being held accountable to be asked questions from these content creators that keep monetizing his interviews? I figured if you're going to offer him a platform, at least hold him accountable. Ask him some questions about what happened. But yet and still, because I published that video, which I wasn't the only one who published the video. In fact, that video was already published online 24 hours prior to me publishing the video, from what I was told. But yet, he threatened to file a lawsuit against me. So I'm just trying to figure out, how can you file a lawsuit against me, Floyd Sr., when you're on tape committing a crime? I'm just trying to figure out what judge will rule in his favor if we ever did stand before a judge because he filed a lawsuit against me. What judge in their right state of mind will watch that video of him committing multiple crimes in that video and allow him to win the case against me when he doesn't have a case in the first place? I mean, what's his case? He can't call it defamation of character. You never heard me utter a word in the video. They were his words. Why am I bringing all of this up now? Because somebody's saying they don't care about his personal business. But you know who's going to suffer the consequences of that? His son, the professional boxer. Why am I bringing all of this up about lawsuits in sports and women? Because y'all know what's going on now, don't you? Right? Y'all know what's going on now, right? With Shannon Sharpe? Yeah, just because I talk about boxing a lot doesn't mean that I am restricted from talking about other sports. You know, the category on YouTube is sports. It's not boxing. I can talk about every sport. I just wanted to put that out there real quick. But the situation is getting out of hand at this point because it's starting to unfold regarding Shannon Sharpe. We're going to get to Terence Crawford in a minute with regards to his interview with Shannon Sharpe. But Shannon Sharpe, right now, he's in hot water. Once again, because a lawsuit has been filed for SA. Y'all know what SA stand for, don't you? Those are the abbreviations, the initials. Y'all know what the first word represents if I say the letter S. And you know what the second word represents when I say the letter A, right? Double salute to my guy, D1. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the roller tape film crew. He's been a member of the channel for 4 months now, and I recognize him. In the chat, D1 says, Marty, salutations, bro. Salute, D1. Appreciate your support, man, and your contributions with your time and your monetary resources on the channel. And I appreciate your content. And also, let me say this about D1, because I said this last week. You were not here, D1, and I'm not sure if you watched the replay of the live last week, but I'm going to say it while you're here. I appreciate you, D1, because when you repeat a quote of mine, or if you reference something that you've learned from this channel, especially regarding Snack, Victor Conti, and or Vada, you always say, Manager Marty said, or I learned this from Manager Marty's channel, or like Manager Marty said. So I want to publicly salute you and acknowledge you, D1. Appreciate you, big dog, for that. Double salute to my guy, Fort Green Pharaoh, one of my day one supporters. He's also a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roller Tape Film Crew, and he's actually been a member for 16 months. Appreciate you, big dog. That's my guy all the way. Has great wisdom. Haven't seen him on a panel in a while. Much respect to you, Fort Green Pharaoh. And Fort Green Pharaoh says in the chat, peace and blessings, Manager Marty and the chat. Appreciate you. And we got a super chat. Definitely got to acknowledge the super chat. Falcon, double salute. Thank you for your contribution and your support to the channel through the super chat. Appreciate you. I wanted to play some audio of Shannon Sharpe and a couple of things that he said. I'm only going to bring this up because we're going to talk about Terence Crawford real quick. I promise you I won't hold you too long. Terence Crawford and my reaction to the interview that he did with Shannon Sharpe through the YouTube channel Club Shay Shay. And let me roll the tape on that real quick. We're not going to touch on the topic too long, but you know the category is sports. That's what the category is. And speaking of women, we have another member of the channel, Ariana. She's here. And she said, good evening, Manager Marty, and the chat. Appreciate you, Miss Ariana. Always a pleasure. Always a good thing when we see women supporting not just the sport of boxing, but also the YouTube boxing community. So we salute you and double salute you, Ariana, in the building. Double salute to my guy, Sin Ironheart. Double salute to my guy, Gary. Double salute to my guy, Lucky McKinnells, members of the channel, supervisors of the Road to Tape film crew, all three of those guys. I want to play some audio real quick of Shannon Sharpe and what's actually happening with him. Hold on one second. This is Shannon Sharpe. This is leaked video. And, well, this is actually leaked audio, but it's from a video that's been published multiple streaming platforms, specifically TMZ Sports. I don't know how the woman that's accusing Shannon Sharpe, the woman that he was romantically involved in, I don't know how or when and why she recorded this conversation, but these are a few words that they had in an exchange back in January. Shannon Sharpe and his accuser.
Coming to LA tomorrow? Yes. Well, I don't know why you want to go out. Don't worry about it, Daddy.
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah. I might choke you in public. Big black guy choke small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did what you did to me.
So that was Shannon Sharpe responding to the woman. She said it's not a good look, Shannon. And Shannon Sharpe's response was, it's not a good look that you did with the blank that you did to me. That was Shannon Sharpe and the accuser having a dialogue with each other over the phone. I guess the woman recorded it or whatever. You heard Shannon Sharpe say, big black man chokes small white woman. I guess they had an agreement of, I guess they include choking in their activities. I don't know. Let's play what Shannon Sharpe's attorney, his new attorney, have been saying. Double salute to Ty. Ty's in the building. Another woman who supports boxing and support platforms on the YouTube boxing community streets. Double salute to Ty. She's here as well. Double salute again. Spinning the block, my guy, Fort Greene Pharaoh. Thank you for your contribution and your support. Fort Greene Pharaoh says Shannon is getting cooked in the air fryer. Yeah, he is. He definitely is. It's not over. Because if you really think about it, y'all, all this is just starting. This is just literally starting. I want to play some audio of what his attorney is saying of what happened behind the scenes and how we got to where we are now with everybody in the media at this point, you know, seeing text messages that were leaked and, of course, audio. So let me cue the tape on what his lawyer said and how all of this got to the point where there's a $50 million lawsuit that's been filed against Shannon Sharpe. Hold on one second. Before I play what the lawyer said and how the lawyer made a public statement on how the lawsuit that's being filed for $50 million came down the pike after a settlement offer was made from Shannon Sharpe to pay the woman $10 million. Let's hear another conversation that was recorded. Don't know if it's in the same day or not, but here's Shannon Sharpe and the woman having another exchange on a telephone or a cell phone. Take a listen. Roll the tape.
I don't know. Anything I say, you're just gonna like get mad at, and you're just gonna hang up on me. So I feel like
I'm not gonna hang up on you. It is what it is.
what does that even mean?
Nothing yet. You want to be a to me now, so.
I don't want to be. Don't manipulate me.
I don't know that mercy. If you said that one more time, I'm gonna choke out of you when I see you. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I don't want to be choked.
Yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice in the matter. Wow. So.
Well, that was Shannon Sharpe. He said, if you say that word again, I'm going to choke the blank out of you when I see you. The woman says, I don't think I want to be choked. And Shannon Sharpe said, yes, you do. She used the term manipulate me. She said, don't manipulate me. Shannon Sharpe is now threatening to choke a woman. See, what I'm trying to get at is, and I know some people were saying, well, why you sit up there and play that tape with Floyd Schofield Sr. when he said that he was going to BLOW a woman's head off? Well, see, the thing is, it goes to show you that I have no picks. The same way we can talk about a sports figure in boxing being involved in the DV environment and threatening a woman or physically or sexually assaulting a woman. Well, we can talk about other sports figures because the category on YouTube is sports. And Shannon Sharpe is in hot water behind all of this. And it's unfortunate. Double salute to my guy, Mr. Gregory Quarterbaum, member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll to Tape film crew. Mr. Greg says in the super chat, thank you, Mr. Greg, real quick, for your contribution and your support. Mr. Greg says in the super chat, it's sad that a 19-year-old female could play him so easily. These celebrity males can't peep game because their common sense seems too below their waist. Dumb AZZ. Thank you again, Mr. Greg. I mean, from what we've been told, the young lady was between the age of 19 and 20. She also put out text messages. I don't have a copy of it. I could have screenshot it, but it was too vulgar for the channel. Where she texted Shannon Sharpe and told him, I told you I didn't want it in my, use the A word, without a condom on, and you didn't listen. I said I didn't want to do it. No means no, Shannon. And Shannon Sharpe's response, I got the leaked text right here. I'm not going to put it on the screen, though. His response was, can I call you real quick? No, excuse me. I'm sorry. It says, can I call you right now? He never even responded to text. He wanted to talk to her on the phone. Let me play the audio of what his attorney actually said of how we got here. Hold on 1 second. All right, so this is the attorney of Shannon Sharpe. He's actually about to break down how we got here right now. We can't have any pics, y'all. The person's a social media personality or sports figure. We got to treat them the same way we treated Tank Davis when he was caught at the basketball game choking that woman up. Y'all remember that? What about the lawsuit that was filed, the restraining order that was filed against Deontay Wilder, where his ex-fiance claimed that there was physical assault that she suffered, emotional abuse that she suffered. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just going by what was said. We spoke on that on this channel, right? Okay. What about with Floyd Schofield Sr.? Y'all just heard me play the audio again and published a video months ago where he's on video in his own home, physically assaulting and verbally assaulting a woman and threatening her. We spoke on that, right? Okay, well, we're going to speak on this. It's the same. We can't have any pics. Here's what his attorney said happened behind the scenes and how we got the $50 million lawsuit as of today.
Did you and Shannon offer to settle these accusations? Yes, there was a settlement offer made by Mr. Sharpe. I will only generally say to you that it was in the tens of millions of dollars demanded by the plaintiff in return for her silence. That's under any definition commonly understood. That is blackmail. And Mr. Sharpe was willing to pay an amount in the tens of millions of dollars, but no final agreement could be reached. And we thought we were still in the middle of discussions when, without warning, the mediator, who's a retired judge, ourselves as lawyers, without any prior warning, still thinking that we were close to a final agreement, the plaintiff and her lawyer from Houston filed a case in Texas, publicly accusing my client of lies and willful, harmful lies by using the rape word when it was she knows, 100% knows, and the evidence will show that she knew that this was entirely consensual. So we were of the belief on our side that we had an agreement without any warning. Not even the mediator, who is a retired judge, was given a warning out of courtesy. This case was filed and the public charges went throughout the media before we even knew that the discussions were over and the case had been filed.
That was the attorney of Shannon Sharpe. The woman requested a minimum of $10 million in exchange for her silence. Shannon Sharpe was willing to cut her a check for her to be quiet and not reveal the text messages or the leaked audio recordings of their conversations. And all of a sudden, without any warning, out of courtesy for the mediator and everyone else involved, her attorney filed an actual civil lawsuit against Shannon Sharpe for $50 million. I'm gonna tell you what I think happened very quickly. I believe the woman was going to take that $10 million. Oh, she was going to take it. That was the minimum. Because all this happened last week when they found out that the reports surfaced that Shannon Sharpe was about to sign a $100 million deal for his podcast. And I think that's when the lawsuit was filed. In other words, they were negotiating the price, starting at $10 million for him to cut this woman a check in exchange for her silence and not basically putting out the audio and the text messages, of course, to save Shannon Sharpe's reputation, right? To stop all this from going public. And guess what happened? When those reports leaked out from the media, by the way, journalists, that he was on the verge of inking a $100 million deal, that when I think her lawyer got in her ear and said, oh no, we need to put this on paper. Forget a settlement behind closed doors. No, we're going to file a civil lawsuit now and ask for half of the money that he's going to receive over a period of time through this new contract that he's about to sign. That's just my personal opinion. I don't have any evidence on that. That's just my personal opinion. Okay? Double salute again to my homegirl Ty, aka Jab Queen Boxing. Thank you for your contribution and your support to the channel, Ty. As always, the air fryer right now is at 400 degrees. Ty says in the super chat, I believe this was a setup and he was weak and fell for it. His problem, not ours. Definitely agree with that. It definitely was a setup. I mean, anytime there's leaked audio recordings, you have to ask, what was the purpose of recording the conversation anyway, if everything was consensual? But apparently, everything wasn't consensual, according to these accusations. I mean, we know that Shannon Sharpe is in his mid 50s, and this young lady allegedly is 20 to 21 years of age right now. To each his own. I'm not here to judge that man. But I have to also come out and say, like I have said to hundreds of boxers, some of whom I've managed and most that I did not manage. And now that I'm on YouTube, I always say, these things from a professional, personal, and a private standpoint. Athletes have to be very careful. I mean, first and foremost, every time an athlete, a professional athlete, is involved in any contractual agreement, somehow, some way, even if it's not exaggerated, or even if it is exaggerated, their compensation is being leaked. Just like right now, nobody has to know how much money a deal is worth that Shannon Sharpe is about to sign or was about to sign. But once again, people running their mouth and then people repeating it, making it public. Or when a boxer competes somehow, some way, sources say that this fighter is on the verge of making upward of this amount of money, whether it's true or not, whether it's exaggerated or not, the bottom line is public. And that can make a professional athlete an even greater target. And so that's why I speak on the topic when it comes up. Now, whether all of these allegations are true or not, that remains to be seen. But now, guess what happens? Other reports are starting to leak about human resources department documentation, where Shannon Sharpe in the past several years have paid out of court settlements to multiple women that worked at the networks that he was on, not ESPN, FS1 being one, CBS being another. And now all of this is starting to come out to the forefront. The same thing that happened with Tiger Woods. One woman made an accusation, and then 55,000 women came out. Same thing that happened to Bill Cosby. And he paid out of court settlement and still wasn't enough. He paid, I'm talking about Bill Cosby. Y'all know Bill Cosby from my city, right? Oh, okay. Paid the woman $3.5 million, as we learned in the deposition. And guess what? The district attorney in the suburban area of Montgomery County, in my city, on the day before the statute of limitation was about to expire, picked up the case and turned it into a criminal case. And as we know today, Bill Cosby had to spend some time in prison, almost 70 years of age, and partially blind. And then guess what happened? 55,000 women came out. Same thing that happened to R. Kelly. 55,000 women then came out. And same thing that's happening to Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, right now. 55,000 women coming out. And I believe that might happen to Shannon Sharpe. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying it's a possibility that those women that didn't say anything before, the ones, the ones that didn't get paid, the ones that didn't sign an NDA, a gag order, the ones this never even happened to. Because women come out the woodwork and they wasn't even victimized. But that's just how it go, unfortunately. Double salute again to Todd, aka Jab Queen Boxing in the super chat. Appreciate your contribution again, Todd. Todd says in the super chat, this feels like Bill Cosby all over again. Crazy work for Shannon Sharpe. Crazy work. Crazy work right now for him. He's in a bad spot right now because of the audio. See, when they got you on tape, it leaves you with very minimal wiggle room, whether it be video and or audio. When I say they, I'm talking about the law. I don't personally believe that Shannon Sharpe RAPED this woman because of other text messages that I saw where she was willing and consensual with her responses and her initiations. I can only go by the text message that I saw from her. But at the same time, if he violated her request, sexually speaking, that is considered SA. Bottom line is, it's not a good look for Shannon Sharpe. And if nothing else come out of this, he's definitely going to have to pay money. I mean, even he knows that. And so does his attorneys. Now, the thing is about this situation that really be making me question everything is when people are violated or they feel victimized, right? Most people don't go to the police when there's a high profile person as a defendant or the accused. You know who they go to? An attorney to file a civil lawsuit to get a check. That's the form of justice that people want when you are a celebrity, a personality, a person who's receiving monetization, whether small, medium, or large. If you are a public figure, all of that come with it. I mean, it sounds like from the text messages that I read as well that was published, she offered $25,000 per cheek, whatever that means. I don't even want to go and interpret that. But it sounds like Shannon was tricking a little bit. Old head was tricking. Let's just keep it 100 for what it is. When you leave evidence like this, text messages, audio saying, I'm going to choke you when I see you, audio of you saying, black man chokes big black man chokes small white woman. When a woman is saying, I don't want to be choked, and your response is, well, you should have thought about that before you effed up with me, or did this or did that. You should have thought about that before the threats of me choking you now. When text messages leak, when she says no means no, Shannon, and I did not want that type of activity going on, and you still did it anyway without a condom. See, when all of these things happen, it's not a good look, man. It's not a good look. Double salute, Mr. Greg spinning the block with the super chat. Mr. Greg says Monique warned him, yet he still thought with his appendage. Hey, man. They got the videos out. He using all kind of toys and handcuffs, and it's just a sad situation, man. It's a sad situation. And this should be a lesson for all athletes, professional athletes, all social media personalities, all podcasters, anyone who's in the public eye, especially receiving monetization, especially when you have a fan base, especially when people can have access to you. You have to be very careful. I mean, this is just what it is. Because the Me Too movement is running prevalent and rampant in the country of the United States of America. And sometimes these accusations are not even true. But it's unfortunate. But we have to speak on it. Just like I spoke on everyone else that had a situation. I'm talking about members of boxing when I say everybody else who had situations with women, men having situations with women where it got to a point of DV being the end result. And it's unfortunate, but we have to deal with it. Now, with that being said, let's spin the block with Terence Crawford and his interview with Shannon Sharpe. Since we was talking about Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe did the best he could with his limited knowledge of boxing, asking certain questions of Bud Crawford. But at the same time, you know, I have to give Bud Crawford credit. Even though he said some things that made me say, like, all right, come on, Bud. But double salute to my guy, Lucky McKinnell's air fryer, definitely up 425 degrees behind the super chat. Thanks, Lucky. Lucky says in the super chat, he says, they have video of him handcuffing a 19-year-old. Lucky, I don't have any man, I don't have any video of that, bro. I didn't see that video, man. That's crazy. I know you're not lying to me. I know you're telling the truth. I'm not even worried about that. I'm just saying that's crazy work. I didn't know they had video of Shannon Sharpe handcuffing a 19-year-old. I don't know. I didn't see it. You said it, Lucky. I know it's true. But that's real crazy right there. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to bring all of this stuff out, even from the past. All of this is going to come out now. Whether it's true or not, especially the stuff that's true, it's all going to come out now. And I think that it's not about the woman, the young girl, her age. There's women in their 30s and 40s and 50s that be playing these games of recording, trying to set men up. But at the same time, even if they was role playing, the way that she's presenting it to the lawyer and the way the lawyer is presenting it to the judge, the courts, the media. Now, this is the same lawyer that filed these Jane Doe charges in a civil suit against Jay-Z. Of course, that was unsuccessful. P. Diddy, and now this. We don't know. But it's all about money at the end of the day. But you have to protect your assets as a professional athlete and a personality and a public figure. And it's unfortunate. I told y'all before, right? Some of y'all was here in the beginning. Some of you were here. Some of y'all was here. Some of y'all wasn't. When I talked about the struggles of being a professional boxer, and y'all always hear me say this time and time again, that boxing is the hardest hustle in America. I told y'all before, there are people that's fighting on TV right now that actually earn a living outside of professional boxing. In other words, is some fighters have a 9 to 5 occupation. Listen, there's fighters right now, 12-0, 13-0, 15-0, that I know personally that's working as a professional boxer, but they also are doing rideshare services and other side hustles to supplement their income. Here's Terence Crawford speaking on his experiences with it. Remember, a month ago, I put out a video, and most of you did see it, and some of you probably didn't, where I gave you all the audio of Danny Garcia talking about his experiences as an up-and-coming professional boxer coming up the ranks and him trying to find supplemental income, even going through the process to become a Philadelphia firefighter on his way to quit boxing because the money was so scarce. Here's Terence Crawford and his experience in the interview that he's conducted with Shannon Sharpe. Roll the tape.
I like, man, boxing ain't paying. Ain't put no bill, ain't put no food on, ain't doing nothing. Yeah, and it's like God just started making things happen. I went to training camp with Tim Bradley. Wow. You know, and that's the start of everything. I sparred Tim Bradley, and he like, man, you ain't no sparring partner. I'm laughing, and he was like, man, is he looking at me like, no, real talk. You not a sport. You a world champion. Wow. He's like, you a world champion, and I'm like, I'm like, man, I just want to fight. Right. He like, so they not giving me no fights. When the last time I said, man, I only fought like 2 times in 2 years. I'm like, I probably fought 4 times in 2 years. Wow. And they was 4-rounders. So I'm really not making no money. I'm fighting for pennies and stuff like that. I'm like, man, I can't be training boxing and, you know, not making no money. You got to make sense. Yeah, so it was just like, I told Bob, man, I'm about to quit. So they called Bo. He sent me down there, talked to Tim. Tim called our manager up, and he like, what y'all gonna do with him? He was like, cause I'll buy him out of his contract right now. He was like, y'all don't know what y'all sitting on. Y'all sitting on this dude, and this dude is cold. Right. So Cameron was like, don't nobody want to fight him, and she couldn't get no fights, and this and that and this. And so I went down to California. I was supposed to fight on a Golden Boy show. They was gonna sign me. The guy comes to the weigh-in and say, man, that's Terence Crawford. I know him.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there real quick. I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to explain certain intricate details of the business of boxing and use it as a teachable moment, right? I can talk about other things that Terence Crawford said in the interview, but I think this was more along the lines of what I do on this channel, and that's provide education with regards to the perspective of the business of boxing. And we'll get to the entertainment part another time. But what Terence Crawford just said, and you heard him, when he talked about becoming a professional boxer and being what's known as a 4-round fighter, where he's actually competing for only 4 rounds, a maximum of 4 rounds, as a new professional boxer, right? And he talked about making peanuts and how the money is so scarce and how it's not really enough to really sustain a living. And he talked about his temptations of, you know, going back to the streets, his words, not mine, and going back to hustle. And he was ready to quit boxing because of it. Most of the times when these professional fighters are 4 round fighters, right? The language in their contract, if they are signed to a promoter, is very simple. They are paid by the amount of rounds that they signed the contract for. In other words, is some of these fighters are getting paid literally. This is real. This is not a lie. $300 per round that they signed a contract for to compete in. I mean, so you do the math. 3 times 4 is $1,200. Could be $500 per round for 6 rounds, for even 4 rounds. It depends. With a 10% compensation of the tickets that they sell, meaning the total price of the tickets that they sell. Let's say if a promoter give them, I'm just using this as an example, 150 tickets, 100 tickets to sell. The total amount of tickets sold, they'll receive 10% of that. That's not all the time. That's sometimes. See, you ain't gonna find this nowhere else. Other content creators in the YouTube boxing community do not know that. But that's why I'm glad you're here. What's up, Victor? Rob Pitts, what up, big dog? Yeah. And in those type of situations, if they have a very, very good trainer who's been close to them since they were in the amateurs and then helped them transition into the professional rankings, sometimes the trainer might say that 10% is not enough. Just don't worry about it. You keep it for yourself. And some trainers will say, all right, well, I want my 10%. You got paid $1,000 for 4 rounds of fighting? Cool, $100. Don't forget the fighter may want to have a cut man or a cut woman in their corner. Don't forget, if that fighter has representation, like a professional boxing manager, the professional boxing manager is entitled to minimum of 10%, maximum of 33 and a third percent. This is business. Okay? You ain't gonna find this information nowhere else, man. So that's why I wanted to use that opportunity of what Terence Crawford said himself to be able to use it as a teachable moment to educate you. Also, and this is real, I'm giving y'all the real of what happens behind the scenes in the sport that we love, called boxing, right? A lot of the fighters, whatever state that they live in, they sign up for welfare. I'm talking about food stamps and free medical assistance through the government, Medicaid, so that they can have medical insurance. If they're not working a 9 to 5, or if they are working a 9 to 5 occupational job, or being an independent contractor where that occupation or that trade don't offer health benefits or medical coverage. This is real. See, this is the part that other YouTube boxing content creators cannot tell you. That's why I love when I have more than one person watching my content, because it only takes one person to learn. And I've been telling y'all that for 2 years. Isn't that my quote? If one person learns something about the sport or the business of boxing that you did not know before you encountered this channel, I'm satisfied. I did my job. So that's why I appreciate it. I don't be looking at the numbers of, oh, YouTube saying only 100 people are watching me live. I don't focus on that. I focus on who's here, whether you're watching the live or the replay of the live, content creator or not. And you learn something about the sport and the business. That's why I say the sport of boxing is the hardest hustle in America. Hardest hustle in America. Because these fighters still have to commit to training every day in that gym. Commit to their obligations outside of boxing. They may be fathers or mothers or caregivers of their parents, etc. The emotional toll that the sport of boxing have, the physical toll, the mental toll, the financial toll that boxing have on professional boxers. I can sympathize and empathize with that. And that's what I bring to my YouTube channel that makes me unique from everyone else. And that's why I sprinkle a little bit of entertainment in it. Because if I told you some stories, they wouldn't sound like stories from a well celebrated, supported sport. It would sound like a horror movie. And that's not what my channel is about. I want to make you feel something when you come here. I want you to tap into your senses when you come here. I always ask thought-provoking questions so that when the live go off or when you finish watching one of my videos, you think about it and say, wow, I never thought about that. That was a good question Manager Marty asked. And then you start conducting your research and fact check me and make sure I'm on point with the information that I'm disseminating that is always accurate, or at least as accurate as possible with the information that I provide to you based on truth and evidence, right? See, that's the ins of the out. That's the ins and outs of the business of boxing that only I can speak on, especially on YouTube. And that's not to knock any other content creator or demean them. I'm just keeping it 100 and being honest about it. But at the end of the workday, this is what happens in the sport and the business of boxing. You see? So Terence Crawford is right. Fighting for 4 rounds, 6 rounds, even 8 rounds sometime, even 10 rounds sometime, especially when you sign to a promoter, because there are expenses and percentages that have to be deducted from the purse, the compensation of the fighters. We'll let y'all process that. That was salute to my guy. Everything super peachy, right? Thank you for your contribution and your support to the channel. Air fryer is up now 450 degrees. Thank you so much for the support. So, yeah, these fighters are not getting a whole lot of money, especially when they first start. All right? It's a hard hustle. This is the hardest hustle in America we're talking about. I'm just going to say good show. Everything's super peachy, right? I'm just going to say good show in the super chat. Thank you. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate your support all the way. Hey, Ariana, who you calling your best friend? Ariana in the chat, she said, "Best friend, how are you, love? Who the best friend? Who? Yeah, we got to see what's going on in here. Yeah, they get paid. Hey, Ty, they get paid based on how many rounds they signed a contract for. So if it's a 4-round fight, sometimes a lot of these fighters are not getting paid no more than $1,500. That's a lot of money in some promoters' eyes. You know what I mean? 6-round fights goes up a couple of it could come up. It could go up an extra $1,000, but most of the time only a couple of $100. 6 rounders, then 8 rounders. It increased, and then 10 rounders it increased, and then 12 rounders it increased, and then it increased even more if that professional boxer, um, and I'm talking about the professional boxers that are signed with an actual promoter, whether the promoter is local, regional, and or national or international. All right. But they're signed to a promoter, and in the language of the contract, it will actually state if you compete for, let's just use 10 rounds, and the 10-round bout that you're competing in will be televised. There's an extra incentive for that. Okay. You ain't gonna find this nowhere else. So I'm glad that we can talk about this because some of y'all don't understand. So when you see a fighter like a Terence Crawford who's a millionaire, Tank Davis, millionaire, you see all these fighters who are able to generate uh that type of money. Devin Haney, I mean the list can go on and on. They all had to go through the struggle. And guess what? There are other people that don't get the recognition of putting a lot of resources behind these fighters to get them to the level of selling tickets and being able to pack out a venue to entertain us and be fully compensated for it. Okay? And that's the whole thing that I'm trying to explain. All fighters, Ty, not just the new fighters. I'm just using the new fighters as an example because Terence Crawford referenced himself being in the rankings as a 4-round fighter. His words, not mine. There's the look, Keyshawn Davis. Remember, I'm the one that replayed the audio a few months ago. Y'all remember that when Keyshawn Davis was on Instagram Live with Ryan Garcia and Shakur Stevenson? And he told them, look, I have Snap, I get Snap benefits. Yeah, I got my access card. I have an EBT card. Yeah, I'm not ashamed to tell everybody that. So when I hear guys calling out Tank Davis, like Keyshawn, like Shakur, like Floyd Schofield, senior and junior, like when I hear Brian Norman Jr. and senior talking about they want 2 to 3 million now, and 1.75 million is not enough. That's why they doing that. Because they trying to shoot as high as they can. Even though we all know that doesn't make sense because you know it don't make sense. How do you know that? Because Manager Marty taught you the business of boxing for the last 2 years. And some fighters think and feel that they know their worth until the promoter has to sit down and look at the books and collect data and evaluate and review past data. It's business. I'm going to give you an example of when we talk about business. It's very simple. Everybody can identify with this. I'm going to use a very small number, $1 and $2. Small number, 1. Small number, 2. Check this out. If you bought a bag of potato chips for $1, you bought the potato chips for $1. Would you sell the bag of potato chips to someone else for $2, or would you sell the bag of chips to someone else for $1.50? I'm going to ask the question again. This is all rhetorical, so you can understand where I'm going with this. If you buy a bag of potato chips for $1 and you were selling potato chips, would you sell that bag of potato chips for $1.50, or would you strive to sell that bag of potato chips for $2? Everybody's answer should be $2 no matter what. $1.50 is good to give somebody a hookup every now and then. You know, certain people, they want you to give them a hookup, a discount. Every now and then, that's cool. But for the most part, standard business practices, we're going to buy the potato chips for $1 and sell the bag of potato chips for $2. So we can make a $1 profit every time, right? Now, let me flip that coin and give it to you this way. Would you buy that same bag of potato chips for $1 and sell that bag of potato chips for 25 cents? Let me repeat that. I want to get you to get your wheels turning. I got something for you. Check me out. Would you buy a bag of potato chips for $1 and sell that same bag of potato chips for 25 cents? Most likely you wouldn't. You'll be losing 75 cents every single time if you did that. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is because that's how myself, professional boxing managers, and professional boxing promoters, that's how we are designed to think when we have a professional fighter assigned to us. So I'm using the bag of potato chips because a bag of potato chips is a product. And so are professional boxers. Yes, they're people. I'm not even going down that road. Just stay with me for the illustration and scope of where I'm going with this. Professional boxers, they're considered a product to you. You, a boxing fan. If you're a boxing fan, you're a consumer. You go to the fights to consume the product. You watch the fighter on TV and pay for pay-per-views to consume the product. So if this product, a professional boxer, right, is bought at one price, meaning the contractual obligation that they signed to compete in the ring, the manager and the promoter is trying to determine whether the product is going to sell for 25 cents or $2. So if the promoter invests in this professional boxer, the product, for $1, the manager and promoter is not expecting at the end of the night to come up short 75 cents. The objective is to make a profit. That's just basic business practices. So with that being said, if the promoter's not receiving a return on their investment and they're not profiting, that means that they have to modify their business model. Correct? Okay. Or they have to already establish a business model to mitigate the risk from the very beginning. I'm tying this into Shakur Stevenson if you stay with me long enough, and I promise you I'm going to let y'all go shortly. If you look at Top Rank and Bob Arum's business model, I'm not criticizing them. I'm actually applauding them for this because I know the business of boxing and I'm trying to teach it to you. If you look at, and I'm using them as an example real quick, right? If you look at the business model of Top Rank Incorporated, you will discover that Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, and Terence Crawford, they all have been promoted the same way. I'm not asking you to go on BoxRec right now and look at their resume. I'm trying to show you there's a business model that has been established so that Top Rank can mitigate their risks. When the product that they are promoting are not big ticket items. In other words, is the consumer is not paying to see them compete over and over and over and over and over again, where it catapults the promoter to invest more money because they're receiving the ROI. I mean, think about it. Bob Arum told y'all, and he told us through the media in an interview when he said the amount of money that he paid to invest in Terence Crawford was a great loss for him. The amount of money that he invested, he lost. The amount of money that he lost promoting Terence Crawford, he could have built a mansion in Beverly Hills. That's what that's what Bob Arum said. Well, that's what he's talking about. And so that's why one of the best matchmakers in the business of boxing, Brad Goodman, you've been hearing other people on YouTube say his name, but they won't say they got his name from me. But anyway, the matchmaker's job is to help the promoter mitigate the risk of losing money. So that's why certain fights are matched the way that they are. Yes, it is a sport. And yes, the consumer dictate how much you want to consume. But at the same time, it's still a business. So the matchmaker has to match the product who is signed as the A side to the promotion company to look good so that you, the consumer, can continue to buy the product. And so that's why you might see fights like Keyshawn Davis against De Los Santos. Or Keyshawn Davis in the fight before that one. Well, in the fight before the one he's about to fight now with De Los Santos. When he fought Barinchik. The one before that, when he fought Lemos. The one before that, when he fought Maguino. The one before that, when he fought Pedraza. See, there is a pattern. The promoter's telling a story. I told y'all that. Y'all learned that from me. In other words, is in Keyshawn Davis's last 5 fights, we can always go back to 6 too. Yes, some of those fighters were undefeated, but the level of competition wasn't there. The promoter's mitigating his risk. Now, somebody might say, Manager Marty, you don't have no proof of that. Now, watch this. I'm going to show you I do have proof of it just by the fact that De Los Santos fighting Keyshawn Davis. He's fighting Keyshawn Davis. Where he's fighting him at? He's fighting Keyshawn Davis where? Okay, then. In Norfolk, right? They spent the block again. Keyshawn Davis is from Norfolk, Virginia. That's where he fought Lemos at in November of 2024. But guess what Bob Arum and Top Ranker is doing with the young man now, Keyshawn Davis? It was a success when he was in his hometown. We got to go back there so we can try to make a profit. Getting right back out there in his hometown to fight De Los Santos. It's no different than what Eddie Hearn did with Boots. Right? In July 2024, Boots fights in his hometown. Right? Spent the block 4 months later in November 2024. Matchroom had a successful event with Boots the first time. They spent the block a second time, had him fighting in Philly again. Same arena. You see my point? The promoter is maximizing the fighter's earning potential. It's no different when Terence Crawford signed with BOK Prime. His first and only fight with them had nothing to do with fighting in Las Vegas, did it? Had nothing to do with him fighting in Brooklyn, New York at the Barclays Center, did it? No. He fought in his hometown, Omaha, Nebraska. Y'all understand my point, don't you? Okay, then. So the matchmaker has an obligation to protect the interests of the promoter. Matching up these fighters, yes, so it can be entertaining. Yes, so these fighters can really compete, make a name for themselves, work hard, accomplish their goals, become world champions, etc., etc., etc. But at the same time, especially coming up in the ranking system, fighter on the A side, signed to the promoter, has to be match made properly. You know why? Because the A side, this fighter coming up into the ranking system, has to be protected. It's all about protecting the investment. So that's why you see Keyshawn Davis's opponents are almost similar to Shakur's and even Terence Crawford. In other words, watch this. The level of competition that they have faced while they were with Top Rank is almost identical. Because that's the best way that the promoter can maximize the fighter's earning potential and receive a return on his investment. Because why? If they are compared to the bag of chips, like I told y'all in the scenario, the promoter have to buy the product for $1, but when it's time to sell the product, got to make sure that the product sells and the consumer pays $2 for it, and not the promoter losing 75 cents by selling the product for 25 cents. It's very simple math. Look at Keyshawn Davis. Guess who else is signed to Top Rank? I said Shakur when he was signed with them. I said Bud Crawford when he was signed with them. I'm saying Keyshawn Davis now because he is signed with them. I can tell you about Abdullah Mason, but he's not more notable with name recognition just yet compared to those guys. But guess who else? Brian Norman Jr. Brian Norman Jr. Very simple math now. See what I'm saying? When the last time you saw Keyshawn Davis fight a black fighter? Besides my man, my guy who I love. I love this guy. He's a good man from New Jersey. Nair Albright, my guy. There's a reason for that. Same thing with Brian Norman Jr. There's not too many black fighters on his resume coming up. When I say black, I just want to be clear. I'm saying some people say African American. In his last 6 or 7, he got one out of what? 6 or 7 people? 6 or 7 fighters, one? There's a reason for that. Brian Norman Jr. still have not competed as a headliner on a televised card at all in his own hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. You want to know why? Because Top Rank knows if they paid $1 for this product and sold it, they're going to lose 75 cents. So they had to stick him on an undercard with Michaela. That was business. I'm trying to teach you the business. And I wanted to use Terence Crawford's words as a teachable moment. Because now we're looking at Shakur Stevenson And people are saying now that he's going to fight on the undercard of Berlanga on July 12th against William Zepeda. I don't know if that's true or not. I do know that he will be fighting on July 12th based on what Eddie Hearn said. That's what I do know. But there's no evidence of this yet. They're still trying to materialize that. So I'm not going to speak on it and say it's a guarantee yet. But at the same time, even if it is, Shakur Stevenson is fighting on an undercard again. There's a reason for that. Devin Haney fighting on the undercard of a Ryan Garcia main event attraction. There's a reason for that. Don't let people fool you talking about Turkey Al-Sheikh. He got all his money and he's paying all these fighters, all this big money. Let's say he is. The fighter's going to take it. You know why? For two reasons. Number one is big money, and number two, most of them that go over there to Turkey Al-Sheikh can't sell anyway, compared to other fighters like a Errol Spence, like a Tank Davis, like a Canelo Alvarez, right? So that's good money, and I'm all for the fighter getting compensated and maximizing their earning potential. You better believe I am. But when you look at the dynamics of matchmaking, that's why you see a lot of fighters, professional boxers, not competing against, let's say, a black fighter, more specifically, not competing against another black fighter. Because it's not an uncommon thing to see two professional black fighters compete, unless both of them are major attractions. So the matchmaker have to match up these black fighters not because of racism, it's because of business. It's because the sport is predominantly occupied by black athletes. It's about 80 to 85% are black athletes. It's not, it's like, okay, but if you see a black fighter versus a Mexican fighter, now the Mexican fighter can do what? Bring over their country. Someone from Venezuela, bring over their country. Someone from the European descent, bring over their country. You know what I mean? That's why you put Ricky Hatton with Floyd Mayweather. Perfect. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. Perfect. Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis. Perfect. Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman. Perfect. Manny Pacquiao versus a Adrian Broner. Perfect. Manny Pacquiao versus a Floyd Mayweather. Perfect. Floyd Mayweather versus a Oscar De La Hoya. Perfect. The list goes on and on and on. I think you all get my point. Keyshawn Davis versus De Los Santos has a whole country on his back. Perfect. And he's fighting in his hometown, something Shakur Stevenson haven't done. Shakur Stevenson did not fight De Los Santos in his hometown. Let's be clear on that. Somebody told me when I said that 2 weeks ago, somebody told me in my comment section, Manager Marty, you were wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know about the business of boxing. Shakur Stevenson did fight De Los Santos in Newark. I didn't even respond to the comment. I know my boxing. Shakur Stevenson did not fight De Los Santos in Newark. Y'all know where he fought him at, because y'all know boxing, most of you. Shoot, he fought him where? In Las Vegas. Y'all remember that? Here's the problem with that. They fought in Las Vegas on a Thursday night. There you have it. And guess who was on the undercard of that? Brian Norman Jr. See, some of y'all didn't even realize that. Brian Norman Jr. was on the undercard of that Shakur Stevenson versus Edwin De Los Santos. And they all fought on a Thursday evening in Las Vegas. Thursday. Not Friday or Saturday. Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, they all fighting on a Friday, a day before Canelo. We'll see how that work out. But the reason why that's good business is because Ryan Garcia, Mexican descent. And now the next day, the entree, Canelo Alvarez. See? Big business. It's never personal. So I just wanted to use that as a teachable moment. I don't know if Shakur Stevenson is fighting on the undercard of the Berlinga card or not. They don't even have a venue yet. The card is not even materialized. So we still have time. And even if he is, once again, there's a reason for it. And now you understand the concept of a bag of potato chips that someone purchases for $1 and the objective in the business model. Man, I'm doing way too much talking. Don't take my word for it.